Hi. So it has been ages since I made a video. It's been 4 months to be very precise, and I just want to say hi. um, it's my birthday tomorrow. I'm turning 22, and I have reflected a lot on what has been going on in my life lately, and also what my life has been like for the past 22 years. Um, Also because of the pandemic, to be honest. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. Because so many things have happened. We've had the pandemic itself, of course. We've had the Black Lives Matter movement. We've had, well, now um, Beirut in Lebanon. We've had the wildfires before the coronavirus even started. We've had such a tumultuous year in 2020, yet I feel most the most stable that I've ever felt. Um, I feel like the world is finally waking up about things that we were first closing our eyes to. I feel like people are finally realizing that we cannot continue like this any longer. And to be very fair, I've had the same kind of awakening um, during the pandemic. I was constantly going back and forth, especially in 2019. I was going back and forth between my job, my internship at a high school that I was teaching at, my study that I also had to go to, and my ex boyfriend back then, and of course, my family. Those are five things that I needed to somehow figure out how to combine and implement in my life. Doing all these things, bending myself over like backwards, bending like um, trying to find a way to fit that into my personal life, but then eventually realizing that these things were my personal life. It was all my life consisted of. And I started realizing this when people asked me, okay, but what do you like to do in your spare time? And I fell silent. I was like, there is no spare time. You know, I either go to my job in the weekends, I either went to my ex boyfriend to spend time with him, um, which I even fixed the fact that I could go to his place every single weekend at my job. So I asked him, okay, could I go to his place um, every other week? So one weekend I would be at my job, and the other weekend I would be at his place. Um, I would have to go to internship and prepare my lessons, or I would have to go to Amsterdam and see my friends there and go to my study and follow lectures. That was all my life consisted of. And I just realized how sad that was. And people were still pointing fingers at me, friends, close relatives, my ex boyfriend as well, pointing fingers at me for not spending enough time with them, for not being there enough for them. And I feel those people, plural, have never really looked and realized what I did in my life, how much time things took up, how much effort it took me, how much energy I wasted doing all those things. Then an even additional factor came in. That was the gym. Going to the gym every single week, several times a week, 3 times to be precise. I just noticed myself being mentally drained. And I couldn't keep up with it anymore. And then Corona happened. Everything went to a halt. Everything sort of stopped for a second. And while other people were going kind of crazy that their normal life was being disrupted, I couldn't be happier. I was finally calm. I finally was able to spend time on myself. I finally had time to process things I hadn't even processed, like my breakup, for example. I finally had time to actually look into the materials that I had to look into for my school because I didn't have time to do that before. I had time to talk to people again that I hadn't spoken to in months or years, that I finally caught up with. And I also had time to reinvent my way of teaching, because I realized that the way that I was teaching was based on my lifestyle, which was, in a sense, chaotic and hectic. So many things were rumbling in the back of my mind while I was teaching. So many things I had to keep in mind while I was teaching. While right now, when I think of teaching, it's just conveying information and guiding the learners to acquire language. I see it as a sort of way calmer aspect of my life than I first did. I'm going to be honest, I first saw it as a burden to teach. Don't get me wrong, I really like teaching, but when it was an additional factor to what I already had to do in my life and the things that were already happening, it was just too much. It gave me copious amounts of stress to think about the fact that I had to stand in front of a classroom while I was mentally drained. That was the hardest thing for me to do. So many things were going on in my private life: loss, grief, things that I hadn't processed personally. I had to suppress those feelings in order to seem okay, not only in my teaching, but also to my friends and family. I don't want to do that anymore. I have now realized that when I need to process something, I first need to do that in order to continue with my life. I need to take a moment, take a breather, and really reflect on what has happened and my personal role, my accountability, my responsibility in that certain situation which has occurred. I feel I've matured more than I ever did in just the span of like 5 to 6 months. I'm a completely different person, and I know that sounds cringy and stupid, and it's like, I know people say, new year, new me. Oh, I feel like a new person. I have changed so much. But no, my whole demeanor has changed. My outlook on life has changed. My mental state has changed. I also feel that I don't take things from people anymore. I used to accept way too much from people. I used to push things away that I felt were morally wrong just to please someone. I would do things that I didn't actually want to do, but did anyway because I felt like I had to, even though I didn't. I don't owe anyone anything. That is something I learned now. I also reflected on situations which happened a long time ago and looked at the prospects of the future and thought I would never, ever let that happen to me again. Things like verbal abuse, things like people telling me what to do, things like people trying to control my morals, my views, people berating me for who I am, judging aspects of my personality, my views, my outlook on life, especially my personality. It's never okay to try to change someone's personality because in most cases you can't. And if you really love someone, you wouldn't try to change who they are in essence. You wouldn't. That is just something that you cannot do. So I hope people learn from what I'm telling you right now. And if you haven't yet, really think about and reflect on, okay, wait for a moment, stop for a moment, and really think about, what do I want my life to look like? Because I have had been so busy with every external factor in my life that I didn't even look at myself internally. I didn't even look at why things in my life were happening like that. I didn't even realize that some things were my own responsibility and that I caused them myself. I always tried to shift it to an external factor because taking accountability for things I did, in my opinion, took too much time. I didn't have time for them. I tried to push them away so that I could go on with my life quicker, faster. But the thing is, you can't always run. Sometimes you have to walk. Sometimes you just need to take a second and think about, okay, who am I really? Am I me because of what other people make me out to be, and that is just something that I've accepted all my life? Or am I who I am because I really am my person? I own who I am. I feel like I haven't really owned my identity up till now. It was always just things like, okay, however someone else views me is how I view myself. However someone sees me is how I present myself to them. And right now, I am who I am despite what person is standing in front of me. I used to not be like that. I used to alter myself for other people because I thought that they would like me more if I did that. I craved acceptance, validation from others in order to validate myself. And I realized that I can't do that anymore. I finally feel right now that I am who I want to be. And if anyone tries to change that, I don't want to be associated with them. That's how easy it is. I will not budge and try to alter myself in order for you to like me, or accept me, or respect me. I deserve respect regardless of who you are, regardless of what your views are, regardless of what you think of me. Every human being deserves respect. And I haven't always been treated with respect. Oftentimes, I would just think that's how it was normal for me to be treated. I would think I'm being treated this way because I deserve it, which makes no sense. I didn't deserve that at all. And neither does someone else deserve to be treated like that just because I think poorly of them because of what they have done. I didn't expect myself to talk for this long. I didn't expect myself to make this such an emotional video. But I feel like I finally processed things that I first felt I wasn't able to. And I'm more certain than ever of who I am. And I'm also not afraid to speak up anymore about things that I feel are wrong. I first did because I was afraid to lose my job. I was afraid to lose friendships. I was afraid to lose relationships. I was afraid to offend people. But no, not anymore. Because why would I want to be associated with people that I feel that oppose my views? Or that personally offend me? I feel like I should be able to speak up no matter what. And I hope that you, the viewer, after watching this video, will see this as a sign to do the same. Because that is truly being an adult. Not being afraid to voice your opinion. As long as you don't disrespect someone else's in the process, of course. I hope to see you guys next time. And take care. Bye.